televised geopolitics of a kind I don't think we've ever seen before. To discuss this and much else, let's hear now from Katie MacFarland, the former Deputy National Security Advisor to Donald Trump. Katie, great to have you on this show. I don't think I've seen or heard anything quite like this. It reminds me a bit of the Zelensky moment in the Oval Office. Just your thoughts on what Donald Trump is trying to achieve here. Is he basically talking to his own supporters back in America?
No, I think he's talking to the world. I mean, this is how, what Trump is like in private is exactly what he's like in public. And so instead of behind closed doors having these conversations that the world doesn't see, Trump is having them right in front of everybody's eyes. And as a result of that, you know, he's helping drive public opinion in the way that he thinks is important. So by calling out the killing of white South African farmers, it's hard for anybody to say, well, that doesn't happen. Don't believe your lying eyes. He's saying, do something about it. And so I think that the South African president did very well at the end, where he said, look, we need some help. We want American investment in our country. We want a regularized trade agreement, but we also, we need your help through some law enforcement issues.
Mr. Scaramucci told LBC that he thinks that these confrontations in the Oval Office have become a key tool for the presidency.
I'm not sure key tool would be the right word, but definitely a tool. Because, again, Donald Trump is completely transparent, and particularly if you look at it in contrast with our previous president, who never saw the press and who hid from the public, his medical condition, his terminal medical condition. You have Donald Trump, who's just right there in your face. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. And I do think it puts people on the spot. Now, it may be embarrassing if you're the foreign leader, but it's effective. Look what happened with Zelensky. It was embarrassing, but Zelensky, within a matter of 10 days, had come around. We now have a U.S. Minerals deal with Ukraine, which will probably be a great security guarantee for Ukraine to go forward for the next 30 years.
Yeah, it's both astonishing and undeniably effective. I'm absolutely sure about that. Let me ask you about something else. We've all been observing what President Trump has been saying about this golden missile dome. Some of us with a certain amount of jealousy, I have to say. But it takes me back more than 40 years to Star Wars and that big initiative from Ronald Reagan. And I think, unless I'm wrong, that you were involved in that.
Well, it takes me back 40 years, too. I was a Pentagon speechwriter at the time, and I drafted the speech for President Reagan to give in the Oval Office. It was a speech about the need to stay the course for a Reagan defense buildup of our military. But President Reagan threw in the lines, 2 paragraphs, where he said, let's just think of the future and let's think beyond nuclear weapons. How could we rid the world of the scourge of nuclear weapons and nuclear annihilation? And so he challenged the American scientists and engineers and military people and experts to come up with some kind of a missile defense system, a dome over the United States. So not only would we be protected from nuclear weapons, but it would make nuclear weapons obsolete. If nobody's nuclear weapons worked, why have nuclear weapons? And when he gave the speech, we didn't have the technology, but we do now. And so that's the amazing thing, that Trump is now really fulfilling Reagan's dream.
It's a fascinating moment again. And finally, just your thoughts on the way that the president has turned against less, I think, Joe Biden himself, who, of course, has this terrible cancer diagnosis, but the people around him suggesting that there was a kind of cabal of shadowy figures who are actually running things during the latter phases of the Biden administration.
It's absolutely true. I talked to some of those people saying at the time, you can't possibly think that Kamala Harris is going to be capable of governing. She doesn't really know the national security issues. And one of them said to me, don't worry. She'll have really good advisors, just like Joe Biden has, and she'll be definitely sure to take their advice. And then the light bulb went off for me. Oh, yeah, you guys don't really care who's president. This sort of amorphous, nameless, faceless blob of people who are really running things. And if America's a democracy, this is so undemocratic. We didn't elect these people. And then number 2, they've usually been wrong about everything. So it's 0 for 2, as we would say.
Indeed. Katie MacFarland, thank you so much for talking to us tonight.